So recently, there was a little bit of news from the U.S. military that now all women are being allowed into combat uh, units in the Army and in the Marines and everywhere in the U.S. military, basically. And the biggest objector to this was the U.S. Marine Corps, who, of course, pointed out their one study they had where women who performed in the same unit as men, it affected the whole unit's ability to perform in a negative light, and therefore women should not be allowed to integrate into the Army. Now, what brought this up, and especially to me, was that this summer I went to basic training and I met quite a few people. I met a whole lot of people, and I'm probably going to know and be friends with a lot of these people the rest of my life. But a couple post things on their Facebook feed every once in a while that just really just kind of like grate against my brain with how ridiculous some of their posts are. For example, one of them made a post, and if you've ever watched the movie 300, there's the scene where there's that little deformed guy who was like an outcast in Sparta, and he's like, he looks like Dobby, kinda looks like the guy from Lord of the Rings who's like precious. I don't remember his name. I think it's Golem, but anyway, he looks like that, and he's like, I want to join the ranks. I can help you fight. And the guy's like, but you're inferior physically. You shouldn't be able to join. And he's like, and then like the next panel is like, let him join anyway. And it was like comparing that to letting women join the Army. And I'm just like, why would you think this is a good idea to post it? Because clearly the military, it's just things like that that absolutely fucking blow my mind. But anyway, not only that, but the military does have physical standards for people, in that if you are handicapped in any way, you can't join a combat NOS because you can't perform. Now, for women, if time and time again throughout history, throughout many nations who have allowed women to serve, it hasn't been an issue. It's actually improved the effectiveness of their army. For example, in the Soviet Union, allowing women to join on a massive scale helped their war effort tremendously. With Boudica in England, she led a rebellion and a movement against the Roman fucking Empire. Catherine the Great. The list goes on and on with women. Joan of Arc, great example for people who are more religious. All women who proved their worth and effectiveness in being soldiers on the front lines of battle and leading troops. And of course, there are people who are in the military who have seen this ability with women who have faced combat in MP units in Afghanistan and Iraq. But some people just don't care, and they're entrenched in a certain camp, and they don't want to leave that camp for whatever reason, for religious reasons, for familial reasons. That's largely why a lot of people hold their beliefs. So I just wanted to bring to light a few things, and then one of the biggest points in this whole issue, which, by the way, my stance on it is that, of course, women should be allowed to join the military, and that, yes, standards should be shifted and made more equaled out, so that, you don't have this problem where women are not performing as much and yada yada yada, so on and so forth, which is of course a problem. And the bureaucracy has to handle more issues. But then again, there's been this whole issue in the past where blacks were allowed into the Army, gays were allowed into the Army, and people at the time were like, this is a bad idea, it's going to hurt the Army's effectiveness, there's going to be infighting with letting blacks in because there's racist people and there's non-racist people who are going to clash and yada yada yada. But the military did it anyway, and it's better because of it. So I feel like when people make arguments against allowing this integration to happen, they're just being a little biased. They're just wrong. Because it's amazing to me that a person, I'm not going to name their name here because who knows who might see it in this day and age, but a person can make a status post about the media, and of course the complaints about the liberal media are most of what I see from conservative friends' Facebook posts. And sometimes that reminder is good to not fully buy into everything the media says, but then there's a point where it's like, okay, the media isn't just fucking lying all the time. Sure, they skew certain stories, even in a more conservative light, with Fox and sometimes CNN. But here's paraphrasing what the post went like. He had like a dialogue kind of thing set up, and it said political. He said U.S. government. And it's like, so should we allow full women integration in the military? And then it says, U.S. military spends billions on on studies throughout, spends billion on a study to find out empirical evidence, and it's like, okay, first of all, you can't find out, you can't build 100% evidence and support for a theory with one study. It's just not possible. But I digress. He says, oh, so they spend millions of dollars and basically prove that women just can't handle the cut. And then he says, does it anyway. The political government does it anyway because PC bullshit. And it's not PC bullshit. It's fucking equality. It's actual, real equality. Gotta distinguish between the two. I know it can be hard sometimes, but anyway. And then the military is just like ... And it's like it gets instantly. It gets a whole bunch of likes. I'm just sitting there like, how can people not see that this is just crap? And I guess it's hard to see when you're in the forest, and it goes for both sides, including me, at some points. But you got to be critical and questioning enough to like feel out the barriers and question what's bullshit and question what's not. But so that was another thing. I was thinking about making a video on this initially without that whole thing, but I've been seeing a lot of people post on it, and I've seen articles in the New York Times and USA Today about it. And honestly, I think it's a great decision by the U.S. government. I think they should proceed with it, and I don't think that it's a political stunt. I think that it's a legitimate movement towards employment equality. And the biggest complaint that I'm seeing right now from conservatives, which is not even a real argument, is the standards aren't equal. And it's like, okay, officially this goes in next year, so no standard has even been set. All that's happened is that this test has happened with the Marine Corps, and they've allowed women to go through Ranger School. Okay, so you set the standard next year, and you're set. I just think that as time goes on, these people will be on the wrong side of fucking history. And it's just going to be funny to see. It's just going to be funny to see how ridiculous these posts look about 20 years down the line. Like people who probably made complaints about women entering the workplace about 50 or 60 years ago, although those complaints were probably more tinged and sexist, like they don't have the capability. Well, okay, I just made an example that these are sexist comments, but same type of scenario. And it's just amazing to me how vehemently someone can defend a position even when you logically take out the carpet from under their feet. If you take away the fact that women are really not inferior and can perform, they'll say, oh, integration's the process. And it's like, haven't we done this in our society with gay people in the military, with blacks in the military? It's like, you're not being intellectually honest with yourself. And that is the paramount. That's like the touchstone of fucking critical thinking, academic learning, skepticism, everything. It's just, if you aren't going to be that way with everything you look at, then you're just willfully being ignorant, and that is fucking stupid and harmful to our society. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that issue. Feel free to comment below. Hope you're having a good first weekend of December. Only 20 more days till the big day. See y'all later. Ciao.